The sacred tooth relic is housed at the Sri Dalada Maligawa, or the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in the city of Kandy, is being considered and worshipped as the living Supreme Buddha. For this very reason, there are daily, weekly and annual pujas and rituals. Perahera of Sri Dalada Maligawa, famously known as the Dalada Perahera or Kandy Esala Perahera, which is one of the oldest and grandest of all Buddhist festivals in Sri Lanka, featuring dances, jugglers, musicians, fire breathers, and lavishly decorated elephants. It is considered as the epitome of the country's Buddhist celebrations and is blessed with divinity. According to Mahaparinibbana Sutta of Tika chapter, among few other sacred relics, the four sacred tooth relics remain intact following Mahaparinibbana. Supreme Buddha's left canine tooth out of the four tooth relics, which was blessed with Sri Saddhamma, was brought to Sri Lanka due to the continuous conflicts in the kingdom of Kalinga in India. Princess Hemamala and Prince Danta, the daughter and son-in-law of King Guhasiva of Kalinga, brought the tooth relic to Sri Lanka during the reign of King Kitsirimevan, seeking protection for the sacred tooth relic. Following the arrival of the sacred tooth relic, it was first housed in the Isuramuniya temple and was honored and worshipped with Dalada Perahera by King Kitsirimevan. It was so splendid that it left the King Kitsirimevan and the countrymen with amazement and awe. They made it an annual event performed in Anuradhapura kingdom with the anticipation of timely rain and good harvest. The background for the current Dalada Perahera was set on those circumstances. No matter how the king was crowned, if he did not obtain the guardianship of the sacred tooth relic, which has the miraculous power of giving timely rain and good harvest, in the eyes of the countrymen, he was not regarded as the true leader with sovereignty. During the kingdoms of Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Dambadeniya, Yapahuwa, Kurunegala, Gampola, Kotte, Sitawaka and Kandy, annual Dalada Perahera was performed as a showcase of the guardianship of the sacred tooth relic along with all rituals and pujas. Even though King Vimaladharma Surya I was crowned, he was not considered as the true king among the countrymen since he did not have the guardianship of the sacred tooth relic. Hence, plenteous attempts were done by him to bring the sacred tooth relic to the kingdom of Senkadagala, now known as Kandy. Later on, under the protection of Devanagala Ratnalankara Thero, the sacred tooth relic was secretly brought from Sabaragamuwa Delgamuwa Mahaviharaya to Kandy via Uva province and was first placed in the Gedige Viharaya in Askiriya, Kandy. According to the tales of history, a grandeur temple was built for the sacred tooth relic in the premises of the royal palace. As a result, the temple of the sacred tooth relic in Kandy was established. The most revealing narration of the Esala Perahera was found in the book written by the Chinese pilgrim Fahian who visited Sri Lanka in the 5th century AD. The sporadic invasions by the Dravidian kingdoms resulted in the shifting of the seat of the kingdom from Anuradhapura to Polonnaruwa, then the Dambadeniya, and thereafter to other cities. In each retreat, a new temple was constructed to enshrine the sacred tooth relic. Finally, after the capital was shifted to Kandy, the relic has been undisturbed. Ever since then, the Esala Perahera has been held annually to rejoice and honor the sacred tooth relic. The modern Perahera dates back to the reign of the Kandyan king Kirti Sri Rajasingha. During these times, the tooth relic was considered as private property of the king and the public never got a chance to worship it. However, King Rajasingha decreed that the relic be taken in procession for the masses to see and venerate. After the Kandyan kingdom fell to the British in 1815, the custody of the tooth relic was handed over to the Buddhist clergy. In the absence of the king, a lay custodian called Devadana Nilame was appointed to handle the routine administrative matters. The Perahera is performed by carrying the sacred tooth relic of the Supreme Buddha through the streets of the Kandy city, which is done with exceptional panache and is considered as one of the most beautiful pageants in Asia. It is celebrated to honor the sacred tooth relic and the four guardian gods Natha, Vishnu, Kataragama and goddess Pattini. The Kandy Esala Perahera lasts for 10 days, while various festivities can be witnessed right throughout. The Kandy Esala Perahera begins with the Kapsituvima or Kappa, where a sanctified young jackfruit tree is cut and planted in the premises of each of the four Devales dedicated to the four guardian gods. This ritual is performed according to an auspicious time decided by astrologers. The jackfruit tree is sprinkled with sandalwood scented water and offerings are made of 9 kinds of flowers and an oil lamp with 9 wicks. Traditionally, it was meant to shower blessings on the king and the people. The first procession of the sacred tooth relic starts with the Kumbal Perahera. It is a tradition that the procession parades the streets of Kandy for 5 days. Randoli Perahera parade the streets for 5 consecutive days after the Kumbal Perahera. In the days of the kings, the chief queen of the king paraded in the procession in a palanquin. As the participation of the queen was deemed inappropriate to the sacred tooth relic procession, only a palanquin is taken as the last item of the procession as an honor to the queen. The four Devales carry their own decorated palanquin with religious articles from the respective Devales. Out of the 5 Randoli Peraheras, the Maha Randoli Perahera is the last Perahera. It is the grandest event of the festival. The tuskers come with garlands and decorated with gold-stitched costumes. The drummers are also fully dressed with ceremonial costumes. The Devadana Nilame adds a novel glamour to the procession by wearing a newly stitched costume. The Randoli Perahera features 5 processions organized by the Sri Dalada Maligawa and the shrines dedicated to 4 guardian gods Natha, Vishnu, Kataragama and goddess Pattini. By 8 p.m., Dalada Maligawa Perahera takes the lead of the Randoli Perahera. At the forefront of the procession are the whip crackers. The cracking of whips from the beginning to end of the chosen path of Perahera signifies the approach of the procession. Immediately following the whip crackers are the fire dancers, followed by the flag bearers carrying an array of flags. Following next is the official called Peramunurala, riding on the first elephant, carries the register of the Sri Dalada Maligawa. Next on the procession are the drummers playing an array of traditional drums and blowing traditional flutes. While the drummers play in explosive style, the teams of traditional dancers create magic with their leaps and moves. The hordes of drummers and dancers are followed up by the officer in charge of the elephants of course mounted on a caparisoned and decorated tusker. During the ancient and medieval times of Sri Lanka, the officer in charge of the king's stable had been a high-ranking minister of the king. Today, the officer in charge of the elephants, called the Gajanayaka Nilame, carries the Ankusa or Hendua that symbolize his authority. Following Gajanayaka Nilame is another officer named the Karya Karavana Rala, who is responsible for functions at the temple of the sacred tooth relic. Arrival of the Karya Karavana Rala sets the stage for the center of attraction. The Maligawa tusker, who is caparisoned, robed, and illuminated, walks majestically in supreme grace and great pride, carrying the resplendent golden casket called the Karandua, sheltered with a canopy. The golden casket contains the sacred tooth relic of Supreme Buddha. The elephant's sense of the solemnity of the procession and the reverence in which the sacred tooth relic is held could hardly be bettered even by a human itself. Held high over the tusker is a canopy, while the tusker's walking path is covered by a rim of white cloth called pavada. The devotees, spectators, and all the distinguished guests stand steadfast while the Malikawa tusker, carrying the sacred tooth relic of Supreme Buddha, passes them. The tusker is followed by two long chains of vibrant dancers on each side of the road, facing each other with a team of drummers in the middle, forming another column. At the end of the retinue is the custodian of the temple of the sacred tooth relic, titled Diyavadana Nilame, dressed in traditional regalia, followed by the other officials of the temple. The second procession is from the shrine dedicated to god Natha. The 14th century shrine that faces the Sri Dalada Maligawa is said to be the oldest edifice in Kandy. The third procession is from the shrine dedicated to god Vishnu. The Vishnu Devala, also known as the Mahadevala, is located close to the Natha Devala. The fourth procession is from the Kataragama Devala, dedicated to the god of Skanda, the deity of Kataragama. The Kataragama shrine is located along Kotugodalla Street of Kandy. The procession includes Kavadi, in which pilgrim dancers carry semicircular wooden contraptions studded with peacock feathers on their shoulders. The fifth and the final procession is from the shrine dedicated to Goddess Pattini. Goddess Pattini, being associated with the cure of infectious diseases, is called upon in times of drought and famine. The Pattini shrine is located towards the west of the Natha Devala. The entire Perahera spectacle takes more than 3 hours. The whole pageant is a reflection of Buddhist worship today, and it also represents a frozen image of the ancient outdated state service system known as the Rajakarya, which people belonging to different occupation-based castes perform duties for the king in return for enjoying royal land grants. At the end of the Randoli Perahera, the Maligawa Perahera enters the Adahana Maluva and stops there. This is in remembrance of King Vimaladharma Surya I, stopping for the night at this location on his way from Delgamuva to Kandy and temporarily placing the relic in the Gedike shrine before ceremonially proceeding with it to the palace the next day. The next ritual is known as Diya Kapima, or the water cutting, which takes place in the morning of the last day of the festivities. Accordingly, next day after the Randoli Perahera, the 4 Devala Peraheras head towards the stepping stones of the Gatambe Mahavali River near Peradeniya. The chief Kapuralas of the 4 Devalas then wade into the middle of the river. and one of the Kapuralas marks a circle in the water with the point of a golden sword. Then the Kapuralas empty the water that is in the Rankendia which they had filled from the same spot the year before, and then they refill it with fresh water. Then the four Peraharas start marching back to Kandy. On their way, they stop at the Pullaya Kovil at Katukale. They proceed to the Adahana Maluva at an astrologically calculated auspicious moment where they join the Maligawa Perahera. The five Peraharas parade along the DS Senanayaka Street and King Street 3 times. Finally, the Maligawa Perahera enters the Maligawa and the Devales Peraheras wind up at their respective Devalas, bringing the annual Kandy Esala Perahera and festivals to an end.